We live in an era where ballistic arrogance is a liability. The market is saturated with high-dollar hype beasts that fail the most basic test of a defensive tool: absolute reliability and practical concealment. If you're carrying a firearm primarily for clout or collecting value, you've already lost the plot. A true defender prioritizes threat mitigation, mechanical certainty, and high-volume, low-cost training. Today, we contrast 5 platforms that have utterly failed the serious shooter, losing massive value due to technical flaws, market saturation, or safety recalls, against 4 surprisingly effective defensive specialists engineered to dominate deep concealment and high-stress scenarios. This isn't about the caliber wars, it's about competence, trust, and the deadly utility of modern engineering. When this collaboration dropped, it had more momentum than a freight train. The John Wick aesthetic promised a race gun experience in a defensive package. But for the serious defender, the TTI Combat Platform is a textbook example of prioritizing flash over function, resulting in a dramatic collapse in practical value and utility. This pistol is simply too big, too chunky, and too complicated for real-world concealed carry or serious duty use. It was designed to look good on the range, not disappear under a light jacket or perform under duress. From a technical standpoint, the much-vaunted quick-release compensator, while innovative, became a significant liability for the cost-conscious defender committed to high-volume training. We saw widespread reports of inconsistent cycling, specifically when using standard low-pressure range brass. For a reliable defensive system, you need to train relentlessly with the cheapest, most available ammunition possible to build muscle memory. If your firearm demands premium, high velocity, plus P brass, just to cycle consistently, it fails the fundamental test of a usable tool. Furthermore, the sheer size makes deep concealment difficult, forcing the operator into larger rigs or relying on cover garments that aren't practical year-round. In a contact scenario, its aggressive, large frame is cumbersome. Finally, the massive production volume, intended to capitalize on the hype, completely destroyed its collector value. A firearm that costs nearly $1,500 new, but struggles with reliability on bulk ammo and prints like a billboard, quickly becomes bargain bin fodder when the secondary market realizes its limited utility. It's a flat shooter, yes, but its size and reliability quirks make it irrelevant for the person whose life depends on absolute consistency and deep concealment. Daniel Defense has historically been synonymous with top-tier, rugged AR-15 quality, particularly their DM4 V7 series, featuring cold hammer-forged barrels and duty-grade gas systems. However, in the current market climate of 2026, the V7 suffers from 2 fatal issues for the serious defender: price isolation and severe market saturation. For years, DD could command a premium, often pushing north of $2,000 for a direct impingement rifle that was essentially a highly refined mil-spec platform. This price point is no longer sustainable. The AR-15 market is now overflowing with outstanding, technologically advanced options from competitors like BCM, Geisley, and even high-end budget brands that offer advanced features, often piston-driven or boasting superior triggers and ergonomics for hundreds, sometimes $1,000 less. The V7, while mechanically robust, is fundamentally an evolutionary dead end in terms of market strategy. Furthermore, the secondary market for used Daniel Defense rifles is currently a bloodbath. Guys who buy DD usually run them hard. When these rifles hit the used racks, potential buyers are acutely aware of the risk of gas port erosion, worn bolt carrier groups, and the cosmetic disaster that is a used rattle can paint job, all of which require complex inspection and potential replacement parts. Why should a potential buyer pay $1,500 for a salty V7 when they can acquire a brand new, modern, fully featured competitor for the same price. For the pragmatic defender, the V7's value has collapsed because its perceived quality no longer justifies its premium price over other duty-grade options that offer superior features or a much better value proposition. It has gone from being a stable investment to a rapidly depreciating asset. In the world of concealed carry, trust is the single most important commodity. If you cannot place absolute, unquestioning faith in the mechanical safety and performance of your primary defensive tool, it is worthless, regardless of its features. This is precisely why the Kimber R7 Mako, Kimber's polymer-framed entry into the micro-compact 9mm field, has failed so spectacularly in the eyes of the serious defensive community. While it offered excellent capacity and came optics-ready, the early and massive recall related to the firing pin safety block was the kiss of death. The recall indicated that, under certain conditions, the firearm could potentially discharge unintentionally or fire multiple rounds with a single trigger pull. For a product marketed explicitly for appendix carry, where the muzzle is pointed directly at the femoral artery, this is an unforgivable mechanical failure. It permanently shattered consumer confidence. Even if an owner has the repaired version with factory documentation, the specter of the headline, "Kimber Mako Recall, Unintentional Discharge," lingers in the mind of the buyer and, critically, in the mind of a potential legal defense team. In a self-defense shooting, the firearm's known mechanical history can become a legal burden. Beyond the recall, the Mako suffered from over-engineering, particularly its hooded ejection port. While aesthetically unique, this design made simple, immediate action drills, clearing a stovepipe or a double feed, significantly more difficult and less intuitive than on standard open-top slides found on Glock or SIG platforms. In a high-stress scenario, complexity kills. The Mako's value plummeted because the serious defender cannot afford to gamble their life or their legal future on a platform with such a devastating safety history. The Taurus G3 series initially appeared to be a turning point for the manufacturer, offering a functional, striker-fired 9mm pistol with a respectable feature set for an incredibly attractive price, often under $300. However, the G3's position as a viable defensive tool has been systematically dismantled by the sheer brutality of market innovation, leaving it a disposable artifact in the landscape of 2026. The primary technical reality killing the G3's value is the budget arms race it inadvertently started. When the G3 launched, its main competition were outdated, inferior designs. Today, manufacturers like PSA and Canik are offering fully optics-ready, duty-grade platforms with better materials and accessories for nearly the same price point as a brand-new Taurus. Mechanically, the G3 series still suffers from long-term durability issues that plague budget platforms, especially concerning the recoil spring assemblies and the thin, easily marred finish that shows holster wear almost instantly. For a defender, a pistol must withstand thousands of rounds of training fire without compromise. The G3 simply does not possess the metallurgic or engineering tolerance for that lifespan. The ultimate issue for resale, however, is the replacement cost paradox. If a new G3C sells for $250 retail, a dealer cannot afford to offer more than $50 or $60 on trade, if they take it at all. This renders the G3 essentially a disposable firearm. You buy it, you keep it forever, because its trade-in value won't even cover the cost of a decent box of defensive hollow points. It fails the professional standard because it represents a short-term, low-investment solution that cannot guarantee the long-term reliability and competence required for true personal defense. For many years, the FN57 pistol, firing the high-velocity 5.7 x 28mm cartridge, held a monolithic, aspirational status. It was the only reliable handgun platform for the caliber, allowing FN to charge premium prices, often $1,200 to $1,500, for what was, frankly, an ergonomically challenged polymer-framed pistol with poor sights and no optics capability. However, the moment the 5.7 secret got out and other major manufacturers entered the fray, the legacy FN 5.7 models became functionally and financially obsolete overnight. The technical shortcomings of the legacy model are glaring when contrasted with modern alternatives. The original FN 5.7 uses a delayed blowback operating system. While reliable, this system tends to feel significantly snappier and less pleasant to shoot compared to the newer, gas-operated systems now standard on competitors like the Ruger 57 or the Smith & Wesson M&P 5.7. For a serious defender, the lack of modern utility is the biggest hurdle. The legacy models lacked a factory optics cut, which in 2026 is an essential, not optional feature for rapid target acquisition. When FN finally released the MK3 XRD, which did include an optics cut and improved ergonomics, every pre-existing MK1 and MK2 instantly became yesterday's garbage. Furthermore, basing your defensive logistics around a historically proprietary caliber, while ballistically interesting, is a poor choice for preparedness. When competitors offer a better shooting experience, factory red dot compatibility, and a lower price point, the older, overpriced FN model cannot compete. Its exclusivity is gone, and its market value collapsed accordingly, proving that technical obsolescence is often a greater threat to value than market saturation. Moving away from platforms that fail the test of utility, we turn to tools that are engineered specifically for reliability and high-volume training for the defender. Starting with the Smith & Wesson M&P 22 Compact. This pistol earns its spot not just as a trainer, but as a genuinely reliable, deep concealment option, especially for those prioritizing low recoil and mechanical certainty in a high round count frame. Unlike many competitor rimfire pistols that are simply downsized centerfire clones, the M&P 22 Compact was designed from the ground up to handle the inherent peculiarities of the .22 LR cartridge. The technical key to its success is its construction and ignition system. S&W wisely opted for an aluminum alloy slide rather than the cheaper, failure-prone zinc alloys often used in budget rimfires. This aluminum alloy is light enough to cycle reliably with low-pressure rimfire ammunition, yet robust enough to handle the high cycling fatigue generated by thousands of rounds of high-velocity defensive ammo. Crucially, the M&P 22 Compact uses an internal hammer system, not a striker. This is a massive advantage in the world of rimfire ignition. The hammer-driven firing pin delivers a more consistent, more powerful strike on the rim than most striker designs, circumventing the primary reliability issue associated with inconsistent rim thickness and priming compound placement. Furthermore, the ergonomics are specifically mirrored after the popular M&P Shield centerfire line. This cross-training capability is priceless for the defender. You maintain the exact same grip angle, sight picture, and draw stroke when transitioning between your defensive 9mm and your low-cost training platform. With a 10+1 capacity and oversized extractor claw that handles dirty bulk lead exceptionally well, this platform allows for crucial, cheap practice that translates directly to centerfire proficiency while providing a competent, easy-to-shoot defensive package when loaded with modern rounds like Federal Punch. The Smith & Wesson Model 43C stands as the undisputed king of deep concealment and mechanical certainty in the 2026 defensive landscape. It solves the two primary problems of daily carry: absolute mechanical reliability and the refusal to compromise on portability. This is an 8-shot internal hammer J-frame revolver built with aerospace-grade aluminum and scandium alloy, resulting in an astonishing carry weight of approximately 11.5 ounces fully loaded. For the Defender, weight is the single most critical factor determining compliance. The likelihood that the weapon is actually carried every single day. The 43C is so light, it virtually disappears in a pocket or appendix rig, eliminating the common excuses for leaving protection at home. Technically, the use of the Centennial internal hammer design is a game changer for .22 LR defense, unlike semi-automatics, which can suffer from limp wristing failures or feed issues in a physical entanglement. The revolver's hammer-driven firing pin delivers a massive, consistent strike every time. This negates the inherent finickiness of the rimfire primer compound. If, under extreme duress, you encounter a rare dud round, you don't need to perform a complicated malfunction drill. You simply pull the trigger again. The cylinder rotates, placing a fresh round in front of the firing pin, addressing the threat in a fraction of a second. This mechanical certainty is the definition of professional reliability. With modern defensive .22 LR loads achieving sufficient penetration for FBI standards, the 43C offers 8 chances to stop a threat in a package that ignores the risk of cycling failure associated with semi-automatics, making it the most intuitive, most concealable, and ultimately, most reliable tool for non-permissive or deep concealment environments. The Ruger LCP2 Light Rack is not just a pistol. It is a tactical equalizer, specifically engineered to break down the physical barriers that prevent many law-abiding citizens, especially those with reduced grip strength, hand injuries, or arthritis, from carrying a reliable semi-automatic. Ruger took the universally accepted LCP frame and radically re-engineered the cycling system to create the light rack operation. The core technical advantage here is the specialized blowback action, paired with a significantly lighter recoil spring. Furthermore, the slide features integrated cocking ears, eliminating the typical challenge of gripping and racking a stiff microslide. This means the operator can cycle the action using minimal effort, often with just 2 fingers, guaranteeing they can reliably load and clear the weapon under stress. This system addresses a demographic that had previously been limited to low-capacity, difficult-to-shoot pocket revolvers. Despite its ease of operation, the LCP2 Light Rack packs a tremendous firepower advantage over its ancestors. It utilizes an extended magazine to offer 10+1 rounds in a package weighing only about 11 ounces. The bore axis is extremely low, meaning that the already negligible .22 LR recoil translates into a smooth push rather than a sharp snap, enabling incredibly rapid follow-up shots. For those practicing threat mitigation through accurate surgical shot placement, the LCP2 Light Rack provides both the capacity and the ergonomic platform necessary for true competence, all while being priced affordably enough, typically around $300, to facilitate crucial training without breaking the bank on ammunition costs. The Glock 44 is often dismissed as merely a training aid, but in 2026, it is a legitimate defensive contender for those who prioritize seamless operational consistency and muscle memory above all else. Its primary technical merit is that it shares the exact external dimensions of the Glock 19, the most successful concealed carry pistol in history. For the Defender, this is a massive tactical and logistical advantage. By maintaining G19 dimensions, the G44 ensures absolute compatibility with existing G19 holsters, lights, magazines pouches, and, most importantly, the shooter's established draw stroke and grip angle. This platform allows for high-volume, low-cost training, a fraction of the cost of 9mm, without introducing any compromises in muscle memory. This is essential for maintaining proficiency under stress. Mechanically, Glock had to perform specific engineering wizardry to make the low-pressure .22 LR cartridge cycle reliably in a frame designed for center fire. They achieved this via a unique hybrid steel and polymer slide. A full steel slide would be too heavy to cycle consistently with rimfire pressure. The ultralight hybrid slide ensures that the velocity of the reciprocating mass remains high enough to extract, eject, and feed rounds, even as the inherently dirty rimfire propellant fouls the action. When loaded with modern defensive loads, the G44 provides a 10+1 capacity, G19 familiarity, and shockingly good out-of-the-box accuracy, consistent 2-inch groups at 15 yards. The Glock 44 is the professional choice for cross-platform training and low-recoil defense, allowing the user to master the G19 platform's fundamentals without the noise and expense of centerfire ammunition. There you have it, the painful contrast between the flash and the function. The firearms that failed the test, the hype-driven, the recalled, and the obsolete, are costing owners hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars. Meanwhile, platforms optimized for the modern .22 LR are proving that effectiveness isn't about the size of the hole, but the certainty of delivery and the capacity for relentless training. If your pistol is too bulky to carry daily or too expensive to train with consistently, it is functionally worthless when the clock strikes zero. Stop chasing internet fads. Focus on tools that guarantee mechanical reliability, offer surgical precision, and facilitate the high-volume training required to achieve genuine competency. Stay practical, stay professional, and stay safe. Like and subscribe if you prioritize hardware over hype, and drop a comment below letting us know which firearm you trust your life with.